Good afternoon, Chairman. Sorry, you're muted, Chairman.
Good afternoon, Rachel. Good afternoon, colleagues. You're all very welcome. Thank you for being here. My first job today is to introduce the members of S.A.C.R.E because we are live to the public and there may well be people who don't know who we are. So I'm going to mention each name and I'm going to ask each of you just to state that you're present, please. That's Chris Burke, Roman Catholic Church. I'm present. Peter Crosby, Baptist Church.
I'm present.
Andrew Hornsby, Methodist Church.
Yes, present.
Swathi Srinivasan.
I am present.
Apologies for my pronunciation, Swathi. Dr. Tanweer Ahmed, Islamic Association, MBA.
Chairman, we've got apologies from Dr. Ahmed.
Thank you. Amanda Grant, Jewish Community. Claire Simons, Salvation Army.
I'm present, Chairman.
Thank you, Claire. Sean Wade, Assemblies of God, Pentecostal. And then that was Christian and other religious denominations. Church of England, Cherry Edwards, OBE, and our Vice Chair.
Present, Chair.
Lindsay Norris of the Church of England.
I'm present.
And Mark Plater of the Church of England.
Yes, all present and correct. Thank you.
Thank you. Associations representing teachers. Jennifer King, NAS/UWT.
Present.
Elizabeth Moore, NAHT. Chris Thompson, NEU. And Jane Watson, NAHT. Then Lincolnshire County Council, elected representatives. Councillor B. Adams.
I'm here. Sorry, Chris. Present.
It's okay. Councillor Mrs. Brockway.
Present, Chairman. Also, Chairman, I think Amanda Grant has got in now as well.
Oh, excellent. Are you there, Amanda Grant?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Welcome, Amanda. And Councillor Whittington.
I'm present, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillors. Full complement. Okay, Rachel, can you cover officers in attendance, please?
I can, Chairman. Officers, we have Wendy Harrison, the RE advisor, and we should have Gillian Giorgio, diocesan RE advisor, but I believe she's joining us later in the meeting.
Okay. Do we have apologies from Jill Chandanair?
Yes, I have them noted, Chairman.
Thank you. And so I just confirm nobody's been missed from the list, as far as we all know. Thank you. And can I, and I'm just checking that was, can I invite Jenny King to give the opening reflections, please?
I am here. Hopefully you can hear me.
Thank you.
I said to Steve way back when that I would do this from the perspective of someone teaching during these times. So I hope it's appropriate what I'm going to say. And I've attempted to put it in the form of a poem. So here we go. So returning to school in September, a new term full of excitement and fun, wondering if I could remember how to teach and inspire everyone. New routines and procedures to learn. Each day a new announcement made. I really feel we adapted, and online with colleagues' ideas we did trade. Catching up with students who missed out on learning, adding a 6th period every day. By the time we got to Friday, we felt like we were fading away. Masks on, masks off, hand gel, the lot. 2-meter distance, no room for resistance. What did we learn in this time? That we really are adaptable creatures, responding to each new sign and embracing the ever-changing features. So what gets a teacher through this? I am lucky I love my whole job. And teaching religion and ethics, I'm able to nurture the mob. Asking the difficult questions, why, how, what for, are all on the specification, and the answers all open the door. We survived all the changes till Christmas and crawled into the Advent light. It was by no means an easy battle, but as teachers we were up to the fight. A new year dawns, a new era, to Teams lessons, a virtual world, wondering if the students were listening, as into another PowerPoint they are hurled. Someone referred to Teams as a séance, something unknown, so beware, as the cameras and mics are all muted, and asking, is anyone there? March the 8th came, and back to school we all go, following the rules again with masks firmly attached. Time to create another new way of learning, and more student tasks to be marked. But what have I learned through the darkness, in the times of only glimmering light? That I work with the best of young people, in a discipline that opens our sight. It validates all of my efforts, that the students can finally see the value of the subjects I bring them, like theology and philosophy. In times that are a-changing, to quote Dylan, a poet through song, we adapt, take a breath and enjoy as we immerse ourselves in the throng. So who knows what tomorrow might bring, for no one on earth has that skill. All we can do is take joy from the ride and make it a matter of will. Thank you very much.
You're muted, Chris.
Thanks very much, Jennifer. That was absolutely brilliant, Jenny. You've reminded us of what teaching is all about and why S.A.C.R.E is here as well. That's brilliant. Okay, can I take apologies for absence, please?
Thank you, Chairman. And we have apologies from Dr. Tanweer Ahmed and Jill Chandler Nair. Can I also highlight that Sean Wade and Elizabeth Moore have just joined the meeting as well, so they are present.
Right, welcome, Sean and Elizabeth. That's brilliant. Can I ask members if they have any declarations of interest? If they haven't, if something comes up later, feel free to make those declarations. Any declarations of interest? I think that's councillors. No? Okay. Can I move to the minutes of the last meeting, long ago, the 17th of November 2020? So if I could have an indication of acceptance of the minutes. So I'm looking for a proposer and a seconder. Thank you very much, Cherry. Have I had a seconder?
I'm happy to second them.
Thanks very much.
It's Mark Whittington. I'll take them.
Thank you, Mark. Right. Are there any issues within the minutes? Do you want me to go through the minutes, or are you happy to accept them? Is there anything in the minutes you feel that isn't covered in the agenda, colleagues? So I'll take your silence as assent. And if there's any abstentions or objections, you could indicate that in the chat function. I can't actually see everybody. It may be there's something I'm not doing, but I can see chat. Okay, I've no correspondence to declare under item 5. I do have a discussion item under item 6, and I invite our Vice Chair, Cherry, to open that discussion, please.
Yes, hello everybody. I can't see everybody either. I can see obviously you, Chris, and I can see me in the bottom right hand side corner, so I don't know whether I'm not doing anything either. But anyway, it is so lovely to be here with you all, and I hope you're all well. Right, we brought this item again to this meeting. We had it as an item right at the end of the last meeting, but we thought we'd bring it forward to this meeting because so many colleagues had to leave at that time, and we thought that we would like everybody to have a chance to have some input with regards to the agreement that we reach. We have put in the minutes that with regards to the use of chair or chairman in S.A.C.R.E meetings, it was agreed to use whichever form of address each member felt appropriate. So really, we would just like some feedback from you if you would like to, and then we can actually then make a decision. So it's a case of, we could go for chair, we could go for chairman, or we could decide that we're all going to use the term that we think is appropriate, either chair or chairman, or anything else. Any comments from anybody?
Yes, could I speak, please? This is Jackie Brockway here. The thing is, Chris is a chairman, not a chair. He's not a chair. And at the County Council, we're told very clearly to use chairman, and it's going to be, you know, there'll be missteps. I naturally use chairman or madam chairman or whatever. And chair just seems a little disrespectful always. But if other people are comfortable with it, you know, my preference is chairman, but I'll go with the group.
Chris, it's Bob Adams. Could I say my preference is the same? I don't like addressing a chair. It's very alien to me. Will I go with the majority? Probably not. It's too ingrained in me, Chris, to say chairman.
Thank you, Bob.
Any other comments from anybody else?
Yes, I was wondering whether I would have the freedom to say Chris as opposed to chairman as well.
Well, if Cherry's happy, I'll amend the proposal to include that. Yeah, I'm quite happy to be called Chris, Mark.
I call you Chris.
I would have personally said no to that, but never mind. So in other words, to use a first name or whatever. So anybody else got any comments about this?
If you're in the chair, Cherry, we won't call you Chris.
Okay.
I was telling actually Chris and Wendy a funny story about a very, 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 very long time ago when I had my first headship. I was regularly called headmaster. So there you go.
It's a cultural thing, isn't it?
We're talking about a very long time ago. Chris, well, it looks as if there are some different ideas on this. So whether you want to take it to a vote or not, I don't know.
Well, if everybody's happy, I'm happy to suggest that individuals use the address that they're comfortable with. I mean, I can say as background, it depends. These things often depend where you are. If you've been brought up as a county councillor, then chairman is an ingrained tradition of Lincolnshire County Council. If you were brought up on the city council, then chair is ingrained as the culture of that organisation. So I can understand either view. And if you prefer to call me Chris, I'm perfectly happy with that. So is there any dissent from that very liberal approach? Can I take silence as assent? In which case we have agreed that we can address the chair or chairman or Chris when approaching the chair, as long as it's not Wendy. We all agreed. Yep.
And can we just say that whoever happens to be chairing the meeting, that it could be agreed at the beginning of the meeting how that chair would like to be addressed? Absolutely. Or chairman would like to be addressed.
I'm okay. I think we're all okay with that.
Agreed.
And I thank you, Cherry, and I thank everybody for a civilised discussion on this, because I know people can feel strongly about it. Moving on then to item 7, which is the S.A.C.R.E annual report. I invite Wendy to introduce this and present the draft S.A.C.R.E annual report. You're on mute, Wendy. You're still on mute. Difficult, isn't it? You're still on mute, Wendy. You're still on mute. Rachel, are you able to unmute Wendy, or is it something she's to do?
I'm not actually able to unmute anyone. If Wendy could try using the keyboard and try Control Shift and M, and that might do it manually.
You got that, Wendy? Control Shift and M.
She's saying her mic is actually unmuted. Come back.
It looks like it might be a software issue. Ah. Try now, Wendy.
Go out and come back in again. Sometimes that helps the problem.
Just try again, Wendy. No. Okay. Can I suggest then? Right. Is Gillian here?
We have apologies from Jill Chandler.
Is Gillian Giorgio here?
No, she's not able to join until 3.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
I can, Wendy. Yeah.
I don't know what happened. I was on the whole time according to my mic, so it was confusing. Anyway, shall I just go ahead now with?
Oh, please.
What I was going to do. Okay. The annual report is a bit different to usual because obviously it doesn't contain any examination data because there isn't any for 2019 to 20. So basically, our report is a record of the meetings we've held and what went on in those meetings and so forth. However, it is when you read through the annual report, you do realise how many things we have covered and how many topics we've covered and how many things we've talked about and so forth. So I always find the annual report quite interesting to write and to read afterwards. Anyway, I said to Chris, maybe we could put some pictures in so that it looks a bit more interesting. It's not just pages and pages of text. And Chris just sent loads and loads of pictures. And we did all this in a bit of a rush. So if you're thinking, crikey, the annual report's got a lot of pictures in it, I think Chris and I probably will thin those out a bit. But I just didn't have time to select. And I think you'll agree that they do make it look a lot more interesting. As usual, the report contains some information from the diocese as well. But the other thing, of course, we're thin on the ground where there's what would usually have been the analysis of SMSC in Ofsted reports, and we haven't got that either this time. So, yes, the report is not quite what it normally is, but it does record what we've done, what we did during 2019 to 20. Don't know if you want to add anything, Chris. Members have had the chance to come back with errors or whatever, and no one has so far. So it's just about ready to send out to schools, I think, after Easter. Yeah, that's all I want to say about it, really.
Thanks very much for that, Wendy. I found it an interesting report to do the forward to. I'd like to thank Wendy for all the work she's put to it. Because it's a year where it's not an easy report to write. But certainly I wanted to sort of reflect in my introduction our appreciation for the work that people in education have done. And I think our opening reflections highlighted that work, its joy and its humour and its pathos as well this year. And particularly today when we remember all those who lost their lives. And I think many of us will have had a minute's silence earlier today. But I am happy with the report, but I am open to comments if anybody wants to make a contribution at this stage. And I will take a silence as assent again.
Sorry, Chairman, Councillor Whittington has indicated he would like to speak.
Please do come in, Councillor.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I have to say, I really like the photographs.
Yeah.
I think they give it. I think they give the report some humanity. You know, to me, it's great to see the wonderful diversity of Lincolnshire.
Yeah.
Perhaps going forward as well. I know we got the photograph from inside the mosque, which we attended. It would be great if we could, once we start getting back to some sort of normality, if we could have more visits to some other, you know, perhaps to other religious buildings from other faith groups as well, and have photographs of the, you know, of the local of the local temples as well. I think that would be really, really useful. But certainly for me, the photographs, they just give it some warmth and some humanity.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree with that. Yeah, I think that's true, Chris, actually. I think thanks for sending them, because I think they do make it look so much more interesting and engaging.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Chris, I've something else. There's something else I've got to add on the back of that. We're always a year sort of behind with the annual report, because that's just the way it works, and that's mainly because of examinations. But now looking ahead, good news for once this year. For the year 2021 to 22, just to let you know, the budget has been confirmed. I know we talked about it before, but it has actually been confirmed now as being the same budget for this next year, which means that my post remains the same, and it means that Chris and I, probably around autumn-ish, will start talking about the following year and what that will look like, in order to to try and protect that. I don't want to go on about this a lot, but you may remember that last time we talked about the freedom of information request about the budget. By our next meeting, we'll have S.A.C.R.E's breakdown of those figures, so that will help us to when we're thinking about budgeting. But anyway, it's good news for this coming year. So Jill asked me to confirm that, Chris. That's why I'm saying it now.
Thanks, Wendy. That's brilliant.
So I spoke to her this morning. Okay. Thanks. Yeah, that's good news, isn't it?
Chairman, Councillor Brockway has also indicated that she would like to speak.
Yes, do speak, Councillor Brockway.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I would agree about the pictures, by the way, especially that one on page 19. I might steal that. No, they're really nice, actually. They do liven up and they draw you into the text. So let's have pictures. I just would like, there's one on page 20 that worries me, actually. And it's the top of the third paragraph, so it's the first large paragraph, and I'll read it. It says, a member from the teachers group made the point that teacher representation on S.A.C.R.E should be based on an interest in S.A.C.R.E rather than representing different professional associations. Now, I'm quite worried about that, and I'm not sure that I agree with what's being said there. I think it's very important that when you have something like this, that you have different views coming in. I mean, those people who come in, they may not be interested in RE, but they're going to be interested in teaching. And part of our function is to deal with the good quality of teaching as well as the subject content. Now, for instance, you all know my feelings about RE in school. I've got no interest whatsoever in the teaching of RE in school, but I have considerable interest in the work of this group, and I will come at it from a different perspective. But you've all been very kind to me and never told me to push off, and so I think that sometimes the role of what is often described as the innocent questioner, somebody who isn't necessarily versed or who isn't necessarily interested, because when you read these papers, they do actually open up new thoughts. They certainly have in me. I have found this come in the beginning. I thought, I don't want to do that RE in schools, get rid of it, But I have found it very educative. And if I'm elected again, I'm going to keep myself on this committee, because I think it does have a role to play. And I would just be worried that we're just going to get all the representatives being RE teachers or being of a particular faith when we've already got a lot of that representation. So just a thought, it's for the teachers themselves to decide. But I would say that the broad brush could have perhaps an unusual or innocent question or input, which might be useful for the group. So there you are, Chairman. Thanks for letting me ramble.
Very grateful, and your contribution is as valued as anybody else's, I assure you. And I hope you're still with us after the elections.
Oh, that's very sweet. Thank you.
Chris, can I follow that up?
Yeah.
Can I follow that up?
Wendy.
Yeah, that's a good point. The point was raised because somebody was querying whether teachers should be on S.A.C.R.E kind of just because they were interested in RE, or whether they had to represent the different associations such as AHT or whatever. And looking it up, the official guidance does actually say that committee is supposed to be linked with associations representing teachers, as in the opinion of the authority ought to be represented, having regards to the circumstance of the area. So it's a very wordy thing in the official guidance, which I think many S.A.C.R.Es interpret fairly loosely, if you know what I mean. So S.A.C.R.Es will tend to say, oh, we would like primary and secondary teachers and a head teacher. But if you really stick to the letter, it does suggest that it ought to be representatives of teachers' associations, different ones on S.A.C.R.E, which actually fits with what the councillor was just saying, because if that was the main criteria, then the RE bit would not be at the forefront, although obviously you wouldn't expect anyone to be on S.A.C.R.E who wasn't interested in RE. But do you see what I mean? So it's kind of, yes, we should have different associations represented, but at the same time, we've always been so pleased when teachers have offered to join S.A.C.R.E. We tend to have gone for more the secondary, primary head teacher role. But I think by default, we probably have got the different associations represented anyway.
I've got two hands. Wendy is the first. Mark is the second.
Well, I've said my bit.
Sorry, Sherry is the first then, and Mark is the second. Sherry, I invite you to speak.
Thank you. Can you hear?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. I was just going to say, it's really, Wendy, you said everything that I wanted to say, but I also wanted to say that I think that Councillor Brockwell is interested, because she always gives the most thoughtful inputs into these meetings, and also when she did the reflections, I remember. So I would say that she's extremely interested and gives very thoughtful input.
I am now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mark, did you want to speak?
Yes, please. Yeah, thank you. I can't remember, Wendy, and you might be able to help on this one, the details of that. Presumably it doesn't mean union associations. It could mean NATRE, for instance, Association of RE Teachers. It could mean Association of Science Teachers. It could mean, conservative teachers.
That's the thing, Mark. It is very open to interpretation. Yeah. And I think one of the reasons that we've never pressed for, we never pressed on this and said, well, what exactly does this mean? Is that we've been more than happy to keep it open. That's kind of what I was getting at, really. So, it's highly unlikely, isn't it, that anyone from the government is going to say to us, what exactly, what representation do you have from your teachers? But you're quite right. I think it's more important we keep within the spirit of Circular 194, and what that is saying is we want teachers from a range of backgrounds and interests. I mean, that's how I've always interpreted it, and I think that's what works for S.A.C.R.Es, and that's what we've always had on Lincolnshire. But you're quite right, because they've not really spelt it out properly. It really is for us to interpret.
Unless it goes to a court test case, I guess. Yeah, and
but even then, I think they'd be on quite shaky ground. I mean, I will look into it a bit more detail. I'll get the the ancient document. I mean, let's face it, it should have been rewritten a long time ago. I mean, you know, come on, 1994. But I will have a quick look at the small print after this meeting just to make sure there's nothing, you know. But, you know, after many years on S.A.C.R.E, nobody's ever been taken to court or anything like that. So let's hope.
Let's keep the lawyers out of this, eh? Yeah.
Let's keep the lawyers out. Yeah. What do they know?
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for that contribution. Are we happy with where we are? I think Wendy's going to do a bit more digging on that.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and thank you for your interest in the report as well. Wendy, anything else on the report before we move on to
No. I'll do a final tidy up of it and check, and then we'll I think after Easter would be good. I'll send it to Jill Chandonare, and then if she's happy with everything, she sends it, makes sure that it goes to schools.
Excellent, thank you.
Right.
I think last year we thought about could we widen the circulation, thinking in terms of, because I think churches, even churches without a school, I appreciate not all churches because that's too big, but say main churches haven't got a school, they're still interested in education. And I'm quite pleased, for example, that we got Sean Wade on board and others who weren't those churches not previously represented. I mean, I know they'll get a copy of the report because they're on S.A.C.R.E, but I would welcome suggestions to us of other churches who aren't represented here, but we think would have an interest. So
we did used to send it out to lots of places, including libraries and, you know, all sorts of public places when Christine was chair.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Should we have a play? Now it's electronic mainly.
Yeah.
It's Oh, okay. You and I will work on that then, if that's
right. Sure. Yeah.
And thank you for all the nice remarks about my photographs. I actually was a photographer once. Some would say I never was, but and I sometimes exhibit for charity. So if I do that again post-COVID, I'll let you know. When I was Mayor of Lincoln, we made about £3,000 for the food banks using pictures, just auctioning them off. There's one with the red arrows in the cathedral. But enough of me. Moving to update on schools, item 8.
Oh yes, this is just very, very brief, just so people know what's going on. We've been working with schools over the past year, but mainly through Zoom, emails and so forth. The local authority has said that I can now, after Easter, if we're comfortable with it, we can go into schools to make actual visits. I don't know if I mentioned this at the last meeting, but Jill Chandonare put me on the list of frontline workers because of being in and out of schools, and that meant I was able to have the vaccination some weeks ago. So my second one is on April the 25th. So I feel fairly secure about going into schools. I mean, I have already I was in a school yesterday. But I mean, the official go ahead is that we can get back to normal, as it were, after Easter. And then in the autumn term, we're hoping to start back doing training and all the things we would normally do. So it was really just to update members on where we are. We're still doing Zoom meetings. I mean, I've got a Zoom meeting with a school tomorrow, and sometimes schools are finding those most convenient, and I think that might continue. You know, sometimes you don't need to go into a school, and so Zoom's been our friend in that respect. But it just means that after Easter, if we do want to visit, we can. So that was just to update, Chair, really.
I feel now a bit like the BBC that whenever we mention Zoom, we have to mention Teams.
Well, yes. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Thanks for that report, though, Wendy. Can I ask any speakers on Wendy's report on this report around schools? Update on work. Not seeing an indication. And if you do want to speak and I don't see you, then do feel free to open your video and speak.
Yes. Could I ask a question, please? Just wondering, has RE been affected in local schools by lockdown? I mean, a lot of schools have retreated into focusing on STEM and other subjects have suffered. Do you get any sense of that being the case for RE? I know that Ofsted had challenged that and said, it's got to be a broad curriculum and such like. But do you get any sense of local schools cutting back on their RE?
Oh, I haven't had any sense of that, but I will say that since schools have been back, a couple of weeks, there's been a sudden flurry of requests from schools, and I think after the Easter break, when I'll be getting in touch with schools to tell them what the situation is, and I think I will put something out to them in the form of a questionnaire, because at the moment I can only just guess, but I think I will put a questionnaire out and say, a very simple one, saying what have you been doing, and do you feel it's been neglected? Whenever I have asked the question, people have said no, we've been carrying on, it's been okay, but we've no real sort of data for that. So I can get back to S.A.C.R.E next term about that. Yeah, it's a good question, Mark. Yeah.
Mark. Anybody else wish to speak on that? My next item is COVID-19 updates. But Jill's apologised, hasn't she?
Yeah, she's told me to take that item, but really she said she hadn't really anything specific to say. Much of what I've just said about a gradual return to schools, and hopefully by the autumn training and so forth in place. So I don't think it, I've not really got anything to add to that. I don't think she was going to say anything more than that, to be perfectly honest. And we can certainly put her on the agenda for the next meeting.
Thanks, Wendy. Dyson RE Advisors update. That's Gillian Giorgio. If I could invite Gillian to speak if she's here.
She's in another meeting until 3 p.m, so she's not able to join us until then. She did submit an update which was added to the agenda page.
Okay. Just in case we finish before then, any comments on the update? Has everybody seen that? Okay. If we're all right with that, I'll move to item 11.
Chris, sorry to interrupt you. Have you got, because we added it late, I don't know if you remember, we've got to ask members about the S.A.C.R.E AGM meeting. This came late today, and I'm sorry, I've just thought to remind you of that.
Thank you. And also Cherry's indicated. Can I, Jules, Cherry?
Yeah. I just really wanted to, if we don't get to see Gillian, just to thank her very much indeed for all the work that she is doing within our diocese and beyond. There are a lot of courses being running, and obviously all of the teachers here will be aware of those. So a huge amount of work has been done during this period of time. We've just had all of us sent today the RE News, the spring report, and again there's an awful lot in that celebrating what's happening in schools and beyond. So please do read that because it is very good, but I'd just like to thank her for all her work.
Thanks, Cherry. We'll pass that on. So when NASCA, are we thinking about, now last time two of us actually went. Are we talking about a physical conference?
No, it's virtual. But it's on Monday the 24th of May. But because it's virtual, it's cheaper.
Oh, good.
And I can't, off the top of my head, I haven't got it in front of me, but I think what they're saying is for one person, it's something like £30, and you can send up to 4 people for £60 or something like that. So it's considerably cheaper. than before. And what I'd suggest is, if anybody wants to go to be at that meeting, the title is Authority in RE. And if you go onto the S.A.C.R.E website, Rachel sent this out. She sent the S.A.C.R.E update out to everybody. It gives you the conference and the programme and all that sort of stuff, so you can decide if you want to go. Chris, if we said a deadline for people to get back to us, and I can put it to Jill Chandanair to see if she'll come up with the money. I'm sure she will, because it is a lot less than it normally is.
Yeah, so we're looking at 4 people then, Wendy.
Yeah, I think more than 4 might be pushing it, but I think 60 quid's not too much to expect. But I think perhaps we only sent stuff out today, so members perhaps need time to have a look at the actual programme, see if they want, if they want to go to it. Okay. And it was 24th of May.
Can I request expressions of interest then? Over the is 2 weeks reasonable?
I think that's we're in a. Yeah, it's nearly the Easter break, isn't it? So straight after Easter would be good, wouldn't it? I'm just seeing if there's a deadline, but I can't see one.
I bet it's quite late.
Oh, closing date for bookings is 5 p.m. on the 14th of May, so we've got ages.
Right. So just to help us along, if we can say 14 days, then.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And shall we put an email out, Wendy, to remind people?
Yeah, that'd be great if Rachel could do that. Yeah.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thanks, Rachel.
Mark and I went, I guess not last year, but the year before. Help me out, Mark. And it was very, it was a fascinating day. It was my first, by the way. And I found it hugely useful, and it gave us lots of ideas. So I think it's well worth a number of us going. And I'd be up for it, but if we get more than 4, then I might not go. I might let someone else go then, but because it is a good experience, and I think that would be a way to look at it. So if people could look at the email and express an interest, I'd be really grateful. And I think it's really important that Lincolnshire S.A.C.R.E, and just as I think Lincolnshire in general needs to make always a national contribution, I think that would be good. Which takes me to item 11, Wendy. And so, colleagues, could I have I know it's a hard act to follow after this morning, but if I could ask for a colleague who would be good enough to do a reflection for the next meeting. Can I have a volunteer? I have a hand up on CE. CE? Who's that?
Cherry.
It's not me, is it?
I don't know. Have we got another CE?
Well, if it is, honestly, it's not meant to be up. And really, I'm saying to everybody, of course, if you don't hurry up and put your hand up, you might end up with me. So that's a good reason to volunteer, please, somebody.
Lindsay Norris has volunteered. Thank you, Lindsay.
Well done, Lindsay.
I'm very grateful. Right, we are looking at the date and time of the next meeting, and I've got the 6th of July 2021 at 2 p.m. So that is, if colleagues could make a note of that, please. And of course, you will be notified. There'll be an agenda. There'll be minutes from. And can I welcome Rachel? I didn't really do that properly at the start of the meeting, Rachel. You're very welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Chairman.
You're welcome. I can tell everybody, Wendy and I have had some lovely discussions with Rachel, and we're very pleased she's on the team. So with that, colleagues, if I could, is there anything else anybody wants to say? Speak now or forever.
Just to say thank you very much, Chair, for chairing our meeting so well, and of course to Wendy for all her input. And Rachel, thank you. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you, Cherry. And I wish you all well and that you keep safe and be careful between now and the next meeting. And we look forward to seeing you all safe and well in July. Thank you very much.